Did you think I was going to be too late this morning? I almost was, as a matter of fact. If I don't know if you can see out there, but everything is sort of dripping and stuff because it's been raining for the last 24 hours or so. And we've got a little break in the rain here, but it will pick up again. I got a walk in this morning, enough to get a cup of coffee. Constance made me wear one of those ponchos with a hood, those plastic things. I look sort of like a character from the Dick and Jane novels, or the first readers, if anyone's old enough to remember Dick and Jane books. I could have been Grandpa dressed up in his rain stuff. I was very popular at the Temple Coffee this morning. If nothing else, I looked adorable in that thing. But anyway, and I'm glad I did, but it didn't rain it on me at all. But this is serious weather, okay? And we're just getting just a little tail end of it. And our friends in Washington and in Oregon are getting serious pounding. Thousands, hundreds of thousands still without power. The wind's knocking things over. People are getting killed. So if you're wasting your battery power on watching this show this morning, I'll completely understand if you just save your battery and scroll down on my page and catch it tomorrow or whenever your power comes on. But know that we're all thinking about you and hoping for the best. This is a combination of what they call an atmospheric river and a bomb cyclone. So, but it's just par for the course in these apocalyptic times. A number of years ago, quite a few years ago, I was invited to do several class series. I think they were 12 weeks, 12 or 8 weeks a piece. One on initiation and the Western magical tradition. One on Enochian magic, and I think one on tarot. Yeah, at Robert Anton Wilson's Maybe Logic Academy, which back in those days was sort of a cutting edge experimental use of online teaching, which is now very, very common, and we've all taken all sorts of courses. But in those early days, it was pretty cutting edge. And so still, I had to prepare lessons, and it was all written out. There was homework assignments, and we had interactive sessions so that the students could interact, ask questions, talk with each other, things like that. It was really cool. And I think the very first one that I did, and it was hard work, okay? And if you know me, you know that hard work is something that I try to avoid at all costs. But I love Bob Wilson, and we during one of his last appearances at Pantheacon, every year Glenn always booked us together in a room at the hotel because Bob didn't stay at the hotel. He just sort of used his hotel room as like the green room, so he could rest between his talks and put his clothes on and have a place to park. So she would always book us both together. And he was in a wheelchair at the time. And I had the great privilege, the honor, the treat to when it was time for him to talk at PantheaCon. Of course, everybody, it was the biggest. Nothing else was booked when he talked, and I got to push his wheelchair in. But what was funny about that year was I had just finished the chicken Kabbalah. And while I had him as a captive audience in our room, I read highlights from the chicken Kabbalah for him. And he was polite enough to act amused. But anyway, so I was looking forward to doing this. And this is an excerpt from the very first week of the workshop, Initiation, the Western Magical Tradition. And this week's title was called Initiation is the Western Way. And I started out with the epigraph that from Homer, from his hymn to Demeter. Happy is he among men upon earth who has seen these mysteries. But he who is uninitiate and who has no part in them never has lot of like good things once he is dead, down in the darkness and the gloom. Okay, again, that was Homer. The idea being that people who witnessed the rites of Eleusis and were initiates of the rites of Eleusis, when they die, their experience is a little different than those who have not. Okay, here's what I said. Hello! Oh, this is a 6-week initiatory experience. Yes, you read correctly. I said initiatory experience. Initiation and initiatory societies are the heart and soul of the Western magical tradition. So, starting with this very first class, you will become an initiate of an informal, but I assure you, a very real initiatory order. Now, a decade or so later, I would use this technique on the Our Holy Order Kabbalah, son of Chicken Kabbalah, the 3-degree Kabbalistic order. This is where I got the idea from myself. Of course, something that we can do for a few short weeks over the internet and chat lines cannot exactly take place of the live initiatory experience offered by Freemasonry or the Golden Dawn Ordo Templi Orientis, or even the OHO, Our Holy Order of the Son of Chicken Kabbalah, or other magical, classically structured orders. So please don't think I'm promising you any kind of astral initiation or induced cosmic enlightenment. At the end of our 6 weeks together, your aura will probably be as unfluffed as it is right now, and your chakras still unattuned. The only secret chiefs or Mahatmas or invisible masters you're likely contact during our time together will be those that represent the very real spiritual forces already at work in your life, balancing and adjusting the soap opera plots of your own personal karma and inherited destiny. But the same might be said of your experiences in initiatory societies who meet in brick and mortar temples. In a very real way, we are already members of the most holy order in the universe, the Initiatory Society of One. Whether we realize it or not, everyone on the planet, indeed every unit of evolving consciousness in the universe, is on an initiatory journey, a journey of self-discovery and self-realization. The ultimate end of our journey is not somewhere we go, but someone we become. What we can do with this class, if you're willing to allow yourself to be part of the process, is to install the formula of initiation itself deep inside your personal operating system. Once the formula is installed and running, you can and inevitably will apply that formula to all facets of your life and mystical career. It's a formula that keeps you constantly moving, growing, and evolving. I'll talk more about that later. But for the moment, the gardener is blowing wet leaves around the yard here, so I hope you can hear over that blower. For the moment, let's discuss the initiatory society you are about to join. I call it the Order of Omega, the OOO. Perhaps I chose the name because I could think of nothing better to call it, and nothing is zero. And zero looks like an O. And one of the Greek O's is Omega. And perhaps I chose to call it OOO because I originally created it as a 3-day magical intensive at the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies in Rhinebeck, New York. Maybe I like it just because it sounds cool. In any case, you'll see that the 3 O's conceal and reveal certain mysteries which will become more obvious and hopefully more profound as your initiatory experience proceeds. Like other schools of the Western magical tradition, the OOO is comprised of degrees, in our case, 3. We'll spend 2 weeks on each degree. The 3 degrees of the OOO are as follows. First degree, the Lesser Mysteries. Second degree, the Greater Mysteries. Third degree, the Supreme Secret. Each degree begins with a ritual of self-initiation designed to raise your consciousness at least 1 step higher than that of the previous degree. You will study lectures, practice exercises, and perform rituals unique to each degree, and hopefully appropriate to the level of consciousness and magical identity each degree embodies. Some of you may be already somewhat familiar with some of the magic rituals we'll be working with during our 3-degree journey. Good. But please don't be tempted to gloss over our work with them. They'll be presented in contexts that are fundamentally different than those you have likely experienced before. At each step, you'll be presented with the jewel of your degree and given a password and the signs of recognition, a step, a grip, or sign or token, by which you prove yourself qualified to enter the temple of your degree and perform the magical work appropriate to that particular level. Sounds silly? I confess up front that things will probably seem to get a little goofy. But there's a profound, serious, underlying magical significance to such silliness. A secret of human consciousness so fundamental to the nature of reality that, if properly understood and mastered, might very well offer us the key to overcoming death. The ancient Egyptians certainly thought so. And so, dear aspirant to the Order of Omega, if you find yourself tempted to skip over all the funny little steps, signs, grips, and passwords, the claptrap of the degrees of our non-corporeal initiatory society, I hope you will resist that temptation. For in truth, long after this class becomes a distant memory, at each step of the great initiatory journey that is your life, you will be obliged to pass through a door. Each is locked and guarded by a terrible monster. And no matter what form it takes, the monster is always you. The you who stands in your own way. The you who doesn't want you to move forward. The you who wants you to have no part of the mysteries. The you who would have the consciousness of the continuity of your own existence extinguished like a candle flame once you were dead, down in the darkness and gloom. You stand before one of those doors right now. Go on. Knock. Something I want you to do, number one, using either your right or your left hand. Knock 3 times on the top of your head. There. Don't you feel a little bit more awake? Good. Because you are. You are standing at the outer door of the sacred temple of the Order of Omega. You're still an outsider, unproven, unobligated, unpurified. You are not yet attuned to the rhythm of the initiatory cycle. That rhythm is measured by an unyielding cadence. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's the rhythm of life itself. Birth, life, death, renewal. It's the rhythm that drives living things to evolve. Resistance, struggle, mutation. It's easy to feel the rhythm from the very beginning of your initiatory experience. In almost every order, the candidate first applies for initiation, then is examined, investigated, and voted upon by the lodge members. And finally, the application is honorably received and approved. The candidate is scheduled for initiation. In many initiatory societies, this process takes several months, during which time the candidate experiences a level of anxiety, worry that he or she may be rejected by the lodge. This anxiety is a good thing, for it triggers in the candidate's heart a program of soul-searching, self-examination, self-reflection. Am I worthy? Have I unknowingly offended or injured one of the members? Did someone in the lodge know of my past sins or indiscretions? Did they know I was a musician for years? Conversely, this waiting period might trigger in the candidate's mind doubts about the organization itself. Do I really want to join this outfit? Why are they taking so long? Do they think they're too good for me? I heard they were snobs. My minister says they're devil worshippers. David Icke says they're shape-shifting reptiles who rule the world. These thoughts and fears are also good things, for indeed some of them might be true. And honestly, who can ever know the full ends of all of his or her acts? Sorting out these doubts, resolving once and for all to go ahead with the initiation, come what may, is the first ordeal of initiation. It's part of the process itself. It's you confronting you. It's your first act as an initiate. As a candidate for OOO initiation, you have things a little easier. Maybe Logic Academy, and I accepted your application the moment you clicked the button that registered you for the class. Your worthiness was determined the instant your tuition was subtracted from your PayPal or credit account. Nevertheless, I'd wager to say that few, if any of you, have not already experienced at least a tinge of anxiety over the possibility you may have misspent your money. Some of you are probably asking yourselves right now whether DuQuette is going to deliver something that's actually worth the price of admission. And I'm going to scare you even more by telling you quite honestly, I can't promise that I will. So, if you're still willing to go on, so am I. Let's get the three-part application process behind us. You knocked, you applied, you have scary doubts, I have scary doubts, I accept your application. Your fees are in order. Done. Your initiation will begin immediately. First degree. OOO initiations are a little different from the formal ceremonies practiced by great magical orders of the past and present. You won't have to promise to pay monthly dues or obey the authority of any officers or organizational hierarchy. You won't have to renounce your religion or political party. And even though this may disappoint some of you, you won't have to take off your clothes or submit yourself to torture, real or imagined. Of course, because you're in the privacy of your own home, you can take off your clothes if you like. But please, it won't be necessary for you to share this information with the class. You won't have to promise to keep anything secret either. But promises and oaths are important elements in the initiatory formula. Solemn oaths are usually taken at the beginning of each and every degree. It's not always easy to keep the conditions of such magical oaths. Indeed, it's impossible. Nevertheless, it's necessary to take them, agonize over them, and try as much as humanly possible to remain true to your word. As I wouldn't ask you to do something I wouldn't do myself, I'm going to start the ball rolling by making a pledge to you that I'm going to ask. After that, I'm going to ask you to take the preliminary oath of the first degree initiate of the OOO. Here's the oath to my students. Hand over the heart, hand on head. I, Lon Milo DuQuette, in the presence of my own holy guardian angel, and all I hold sacred, with one hand on my heart and one hand on my head, do solemnly promise and swear that I will do my best to initiate, teach, instruct, counsel the members of my Maybe Logic Academy class. Even though I may ask them to do things they may think silly and unnecessary, I affirm that I do so with the most serious and sincere magical intention for their spiritual well-being and enlightenment. And I will never ask them to do anything against their will or better judgment. So mote it be. And that's how I started that class. And that's all the time I have for today. I don't think the Maybe Logic material has ever been published in book form. That's maybe something I can do in my old age, throw something like that together, but we'll have to see. Anyway, until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. If you're in the path of the bomb cyclone atmospheric river, take every step necessary to keep yourself safe. Do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.